Welcome to our Women Tech Talk session 2. And today we have Priya and Almara who will be taking our 2 sessions, and they'll be introducing themselves when they're going to talk about the topic. So I'm Navdeep Kalsi, head of Azure infrastructure in Microsoft, and I have set up this group to inspire and motivate women to become a good leader and help each other. So today, Priya, you will be doing a session on lesson learned for returning to work. Yep. So I'll make you as a host and you will be taking it from there. Yep. Just bear with me.
Come on, fast. Too slow.
That's okay. Sorry. So you're a host, Priya.
Perfect. Let's give it a try. Share. Alrighty. Can you guys see the screen?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. Hello everyone. My name is Priya, and I would like to talk about my journey from being a engineer, then studying and taking a big break, and then coming back to work. And I wanted to share few things that worked, and more probably, if I have time, few things that actually didn't work. And this is more of it's not an advice, it doesn't fit for everyone. It's more of, is there something you can learn from me that you might be able to try for your next role? So I would like to just take through that. So a little about me. I was, till Tuesday, was a senior DevOps engineer at Kmart. So I love cloud, especially AWS at the moment, and I like going through learning stuff on security. I'm also a big advocate of community-driven activities like DevOps Girls, especially the Melbourne branch, and the AppSec Days, the YAO, and a lot of community-driven workshops. I'm a big advocate of that. I try to volunteer for a lot of conferences, pre-COVID, of course. So one of the things I thought is quite interesting, and a lot of people kind of struggle to believe, is before 2019, I actually had a massive gap from IT field for from 2013 till 2019. And that's where people kind of were interested when they talked to me, how come from that long period of not being in IT profession, you were able to suddenly switch on, level up, and then now be within from 2000 to 2022, within few years, reached a senior engineer role. So I'm going to take you through a little bit from a recent journey. So in 2007, after I graduated my bachelor's, I was a software engineer for a few years till 5 years till 2013. 2013 is when I came to Melbourne to do my master's. I did my master's in business analysis because I had this crazy dream that, you know what, I just want to be a business analyst. I never want to touch code ever again because I'm just tired of code. After graduating though, that's when reality struck true. I came to Melbourne with no connections. So I didn't know how the reality of business analysis was. I didn't have any connections. And I basically didn't have money, if you think that way. So yes, I was pretty unimpressive from a recruiter's point of view. So from 2014, it was a bit of, you can say I had a downward spiral because my health took a hit. I lost motivation, and business analysis went nowhere because they had from a recruiter's point of view, because I didn't have any experience in Australia of any kind. I was actually not even considered good enough to even be called and spoken to. I remember someone, when they tried to reach out to a recruiter, they said, oh, the name sounds Indian. Can she even speak English? It was a bit of disheartening period of time. Touch wood, my life turned pretty drastically positive. I would say I was both lucky in meeting a lot of amazing people. One of them who ended up putting me in touch with Navi, where that was where I started my journey in MeBank as a cloud engineer. And from there in 2019 till like 2020, I moved from cloud engineer to senior cloud engineer. And 2021 is when I have moved to Kmart to become the senior DevOps engineer. So let's see, I'll take through each phase what I would suggest would have been the best activities. I wish I would done sooner, but still. Level 0, when I was restarting my career, literally trying to pivot completely into a different field, which has nothing to do with code, but is still in IT. During my master's and even the break I ended up taking for such a long time, one thing that always I did was always learning. Even during the break, when I could not see any direction opening out, I made an effort to spend time exploring things. I explored machine learning for a while. I explored UX, UI, and then I explored DevOps, actually cloud, AWS cloud through a DevOps Girls event. And that's when finally the interest struck. So after trying so many different things, something got hold. And that's when I felt this is something I would not mind doing 9 to 5. So always be learning and exploring when you don't know what you want to do. That's one thing I definitely learned. And also learn improving the core skills. When I say core skills, it's not about technology. It's also about how you talk and sometimes how you write. Especially as an immigrant and with a non-English name, one of the things people actually worried in the start is, can she even speak or write proper English? So I felt like during my master's, especially, I had a very good hardcore time learning all those skills. And that still to this day, I would say that's the best thing I have ever learned. And on top, I did volunteer, even as part of the uni, or even when I was having this massive break. I was always trying to spend time going to different types of meetups around technology and learning things from them, talking to people of what's happening in the industry. And last but not the least, take care of yourself. Because if you're not in the right place mentally and physically, everything looks very negative, that you feel like nothing is working. So this is the first step I had to start implementing for myself, is trying to be in a right spot mentally. Even if it meant having the social time and trying to be very positive and talking to people who were supportive of where I was going, despite the open-ended question of what should I next. So after this phase, this is where I started taking the small steps I was talking about. And I would always say, don't lose hope. Be a little patient and gentle on yourself. Impatience can drive you nuts. And for me, it was a long run of 2-3 years, taking care of myself and building myself back up. And this is one thing I always learn: be a little patient and gentle. Always ask for advice. If you go to someone and ask for advice, please do follow up, because people are endeared when you actually do something they suggest, because they suggest something out of goodwill. Even if you do the one tiniest activity they suggest, they will actually try to go beyond and try to help you even more. That's always I say, take advice, but also follow up with them and get mentors. I had amazing mentors from my DevOps Girls group who helped me out in trying to show me opportunities that are there in their organization or somewhere they heard. For example, I knew of an opportunity in MeBank because someone working there knew that there was an opening and they were looking for someone with good enough skills. And that's where I say, right, get mentors. And remember, don't ask for a job when you talk to someone, ask for opportunities. That is the best way of winning them over. And I always suggest anyone, never ask for a job. You are putting them on the spot because you're demanding something they can never fulfill or they can promise. So don't ask for a job, just ask for opportunities or connections or someone do you know, can you put in a word? That's how it should be. From there, as I said, I did tried a lot of places. For example, I tried a program in Seek. It didn't come through, tried in Mayob, and then through a connection, Navi knew, I went to Maybank. And that's when it was more like having that outlook and explaining what I know, what I learned, and what I'm willing to learn. Being like, I would not say it's a radical honesty, but honesty where you're trying to say, I know I might not be at that level, but I have done this much and I'm willing to go the extra mile. And I'm very sure I can be the good fit. So I think that's where I say, know how to pitch yourself. It should be, it should never end in a question mark. It should be positive, but also be very clear that even if I don't know, I'm very sure I can learn very quickly because I have done this so many things in this period of time, certifying myself and exploring different opportunities. Always project a confidence and willingness to learn quickly, uh, and let the other person also feel comfortable that they can believe what you're saying. So no, this is one thing I learned. Pitching yourself, 2-minute pitch or 60-second pitch, of having strong pitch actually makes a lot of difference. Once I actually got the job, this is where I'll say I've been going the extra mile did make a difference because this is the kickstarter of my career after a long break. Everything was new. Australian work culture was new. And for me, actually going the extra mile has worked in my favor. So I was also thankful for having a lot of good mentors and good teammates I work with, and who are, I would say, like literally now that's some of the best friends I have. And I would say it was an amazing culture when we started, where we did extraordinary things. To this day, no one believes we were able to do. So I would still say that was, I was really lucky. Let's say that. And this is one thing I always say: you are responsible for your career. Full stop. No one else is. Everyone is there on as a bystander supporting you, but you, end of the day, decide what is for you, and you are responsible for yourself. That is for your own life, your health, and your career. Full stop. No one else is. Um, and you also need to, at this phase when you're kickstarting, decide what do you stand for and what you don't stand for, or what you're willing, like what are your values when it comes to work and work ethics. From the journey from an engineer to the senior position, that was a bit of drastic journey too, because I lived in the mentality I will always be this engineer forever. But once I became senior, I realized there's a lot more than the technical skills, where I was, again, I'll say, I was not patient enough. And these are the things I learned. When you go the next level, you need different set of skills. Okay. That means not only learning from someone above you, you also need to learn how to teach other people, your peers or someone below you. This is a massive phase where I did struggle quite a bit because I could not move beyond my first level. So I would say here, when you move the next level, remember it's you have to learn things on top. You need to know how to uh, senior. When you go senior, there are certain things you need to do more. You might be in a. It depends on where you are. For example, I was in a position I needed to be, for example, the subject matter expert, and I needed to know how to speak with people who can't speak my language of technology. And I would say I was in the start very, very impatient. I might even have made a few enemies in the start, but thankfully, by actually sitting down and talking through and getting feedback, one more thing, get feedback from other people. They are there to tell you, if you ask honestly, either something I can improve, either something I'm not doing enough, you will get the feedback like you could have done this better. And don't take it as a criticism, take it as someone giving feedback. This is what I always said. When someone gives a feedback, that actually shows they care about you. They care about you enough to give feedback where you can improve yourself. And yes, you have to keep leveling up your skills. It's not just technology, because you work in a team, you don't work by yourself. You need to know how to work with the team, and always remember that different people have different skills. They bring in something you don't have. That's always how I treated my team. There is something I don't have. For example, if I could not So communicate with certain C-level management people. I always took help of someone who could have done better for me. And it's fine. You can actually shadow them and learn. Uh, there's a certain point you can do that, but certain point you have to start quickly learning how to do that job, because end of the day, that is meant to be your job. So I would actually say, be patient, be kind to yourself, do not take criticism as much as possible personally, and work from there. If you, sometimes I said, even if you have to get like negative feedback, it's fine. You kind of at the point need to learn what is sarcasm versus what is a positive negative feedback. Sometimes, I know this is a wrong way of saying, but sometimes you will have different people who might be not looking good, doing things for your benefit. You are the judge of yourself. You need to know what you can take on board and what won't work for you, and you just drop it. So that's one thing I learned. Yeah, I mean, then a model came out, and I would say, oh, again, I feel very lucky. I was working with an amazing team, where I did get to explore the mentoring side of things. I was sitting with people, teaching, and I'll tell you, trust me, that's a very important skills, because it will tell you what you don't know. If you can't teach something, that means you don't understand it well yourself. And it was a very good experience, because there were times I had to brush up and understand how I can teach things in a simpler way. Like take the AWS jargon to something people knew. For example, someone who knew how data center worked, I would try to transform that message into, fine, let's think of data center. How would it look like? And that was amazing, because it also brought in what the other person was also teaching me things in that parallel. So it's a win-win relationship there. So yeah, try to mentor someone always, and that's the best judge of where you are. So in short, I can't say enough, take care of yourself. You are responsible for yourself. You are responsible for your happiness, your career, and your life. Always be learning. It doesn't need to be technical. It can be as simple as learning a writing skill, learning how to talk with different types of people, like engineers, the project managers, and the C-level X. They all speak different languages, and they have different perspectives on what matters to them. Learn how to speak with different people. That will actually, it's like a bonus skill that will forever help you. Have a good network, network of mentors. And this is where I say, your mentors probably don't know they are your mentors. I have a lot of people who don't know that I am they're like role models or mentors, like guides. And each phase of your life, you have different guides. And sometimes your mentors become friends, and then you find your set of mentors, and that's fine. Because each level you will find certain people actually make more sense. And the more you go up, you have different level of mentors, and that's fine. And that's amazing. Always have someone. You don't never need to talk to them. You just follow them on Twitter. That's fine. They're still your mentors. Even live or dead, they are still your mentors. So again, you're responsible for yourself and your career. And I will part with that.
That's good.
Since I love books, I thought I'll share a few things I've been reading recently. These are the books I've been reading, and I especially love this book called How Women Rise. It's a really good book for women who actually, like, for example, you just been successful enough, you've gone the next level. And that's where I'm saying you need different types of skills and attitudes. This book kind of gives you an insight of where successful women kind of fall back on. And I would say this is a really good book. I'm still reading this. And two other books by the same author, Cal Newport. Must be quite often cited. So Good They Can't Ignore You, and Deep Work. There are two good books which I'm rereading. And for engineers who are not interested in management track but still want a career progression, Will Larson's Staff Engineer is a good book, and I'm still kind of like here and there picking chapters and reading. And two non-technical or non-IT related. I believe in having a philosophy of life. So I am currently reading these two books. That's A Guide to Good Life, a little bit basis on Stoic philosophy. It's not heavily religious, so kind of like that. And also this book, which is very beautiful. It's called The Book of Beautiful Questions by Warren Berger. It's really good. I've read halfway through. So far, I did like it. So I think that's the end of my presentation. Anyone has questions?
That's good. So please feel free to ask questions from Priya if anyone have any questions.
Priya, I have a question for you. So, like how you mentioned that it's been like after 7 years of a break, you entered into this like IT world again. So what was that?
So I don't know. That's a very good question. I don't think I thought much about it because I was too desperate to just get my foot in, right? When you're too desperate, you want everything to work for you. So I don't think I had too much of fear initially, but also it depends, right? I think that's why I say I was lucky because when I joined, the team I had was pretty open-minded, and they were because everyone started from ground zero at the time. We were a very strange team, which everyone kind of never believes. When I said like most of the team except two were not AWS experts, like we didn't know anything. We learned on the job, so there was no criticism. And I would say we are one of those rare teams. I would definitely agree. And to this day, people don't believe that just a team of 4 new engineers who worked in IT in some capacity, didn't work with AWS, actually built the entire enterprise setup by themselves with 2 SMEs who were training us. I would say it's a bit of luck and also a bit of team play, right? Because the team was never criticized. There was no right answer. There was no wrong answer. And to this day, I always try to bring that attitude to wherever I work and don't try to criticize someone that they don't know. If they don't know, I'm like, okay, let me take a step back. This is the language we speak. Your language is different. Now try to talk my language and now let me teach you what my cloud language means. When I say this is what it means. And that's fine. And sometimes I would say, take a step back. If you're getting worked up, go for a walk. Go for a coffee. That's fine. When you get too emotional, and I would say have one friend you can rant. I'll say that does wonders because end of the day, I feel women don't want solutions. They just want someone to talk to. And I think most of the time women are capable of solving their own problems. They just want to talk. That's it. They just want to talk. They don't want advice. They know how to fix things. So that's why I always tell my female colleagues or friends that get someone who doesn't judge you, even if it is someone who doesn't work in IT, it's fine. Just get someone to talk to. That half an hour, get a coffee, get a tea, just talk. And after that, you're done and dusted, you know what to do. That's what I did. I had a couple of friends I can talk to, and I would like blurt all my heart out, and next day I'm fine. And that does wonders.
It is so true. It always works for me.
Yeah. And it's just like, yeah, I always tell men also, you have to understand, women don't expect you to solve their problems. They can already solve their own problems. All they want is to someone to just listen. That's it. Or hear them out. You don't even need to listen. Go turn your mind off. Yeah. Listen to them. Unless they come and say, now I have this problem. How do I solve? Don't solve it for them.
That's good. That's really good session, Priya. Any other questions for Priya?
I think I'll ask. Hi, Priya.
Hi.
Another Priya is this side. And I would say like very inspirational story. And definitely I can relate, like the way you were telling about like 0 to reach here. I want to ask like, once you started your first role after the gap and everything, what was the biggest challenge you had in the team? Like team wise, it was good. Like what is the biggest challenge that was in your mind, which you think like, okay.
One of the challenge was definitely, it's not technical, right? I always say my problems were always people problems, right? Sometimes you have certain people, who, let me say, the way of saying things or way of doing kind of like causes friction, and it was unintentional. In the sense like, I am a warrior, and someone asked me to stay calm and say, let it go. I used to kind of go back and say, please stop saying that. This is my personality. I'm not stressing you out. I'm stressing myself. Leave me alone. That's the way. This is where I say, initially in the start of the role, every role I started, there was a bit of impatience and unwillingness for me to like step back and say, they don't mean harm. This is always I say, think now try to say myself. When people say something, they in their mind are telling things with good intentions. They're trying to help you. Okay. And I try to believe that this world is a kind world. Yes, there are people who are not kind. I will not say that. They are. Seen that. It's done and dusted. You make your choices, you move on.
Correct.
But there are most of the people really kind. They don't mean harm. And sometimes all it takes, as I said, take a step back. Probably don't talk to them for a while. And maybe next time I try to apologize later. I understood and I said, I'm sorry. I took it the wrong way, but I don't like it when you say this and this, because that's how I work. And that's personal, right? It depends on how you like to work and how you say. Some people are not cool with that. Like sometimes some women don't like going back and like bringing that topic up, right? You just want to let it go. That's when, again, having friends matter, like someone to talk to and like work it out and then make peace. You have to make peace with yourself. Make peace with yourself and let it go. It's a very hard skill. I'll tell you one thing: the hardest skill you can learn is letting things go.
That's right.
Yeah, and always try to say this thing. Someone gave me 1 year from now, even not even 1 year, few weeks from now, will this thing I'm worrying will matter to me? And most of the time it doesn't, because you're already moved on. And sometimes you need to have good questions to ask yourself, I would say. And again, that's a skill you have to learn.
That's right.
So Priya, in brief, I can say that everyone comes to work with a good intention. So if someone is having a argument with you during the working hours, so you know that they are arguing because they have something they want to complete, but it is with a good intention. No one comes to work with any bad intention. Everyone wants to complete their work. Just take it as a positive, but everyone have good and bad days.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So Gurli, do you have any question?
Yeah, I actually have a question, Priya. So being in the IT, especially the DevOps role, and I myself am also a DevOps engineer. So there are very few women, and especially women in leadership, and especially when you actually go to a senior role. Have you ever faced a situation where when you are given more responsibility, somebody in your team, especially men who have been there longer than you do not take it kindly and kind of make it difficult to run the job, especially when you're delegating tasks? And I myself am going through that. And, what has been your, how did you deal with that? And
that's a very good question. Again, I will say I've been very, very lucky. I had a very supportive engineering manager. And also, for some reason, I was kind of the most popular senior DevOps engineer there because I was always there everywhere. But the problem that ended up is because I was there everywhere, I was handling way too much responsibilities because everyone thought that I'm like the lead DevOps engineer for some reason. For me, what worked was I did tell my engineering manager, look, you have to take some responsibilities off because you won't decide what you want me to work on. What am I hired for? Okay. That actually made a difference because it's like, you're hired to do this job. Okay. Then the other thing is, one more thing that helped was making the engineers who try to give me a lot of trouble, bring them in and actually teach them how to solve it. Because sometimes I feel like it's never a DevOps answer. It's more like something is breaking and they want someone else to troubleshoot. And I, at one point, I started refusing to do that. I'll call that person who raised that issue. I said, come sit with me. Let's go through that. Let's see what is actually happening. If you ever see this message, this is what it means. Retry it. If this happens, this is not a DevOps problem. Somewhere your application failed. Sometimes found that they're coming from a space they don't think much, right? They just see the red mark and they say, try to offload it to you. And I actually refuse to like fix it. I like, come here. Let's see one by one and teach them. Try to teach them what the problem is. And if it does persist, maybe it's time to ask for help. Ask your boss. I'm not trying to say I'm shrinking from work. I'm trying to understand, is there something I am not doing, something I'm missing in the bigger picture? Can we have a conversation where we can understand how we can reduce this and make it like positive, and always like not trying to like escape from work or saying too much work either, right? Yeah, I would say that actually. Yeah.
Can I add something few more? Because Gurleen have asked questions, so I know she's been promoted and she must be facing. So Gurleen, it's very common scenario which happens in most of the organization, because when I also took up leadership roles, I really faced it a lot. So I always have 2 steps to it. First one, go and talk to that person. So some people, it is their personality that they want to be blockers. And some people, they don't even know that they are blockers for you, right? So go and talk, go out for a coffee, tell them what you like, how you like to operate, how you like to work, and give them that benefit of doubt for a first meeting or first 1 or 2 times. But again, if you think it is reoccurring, I think then you shouldn't wait too much. You should report it. And there is no harm reporting some behavior if it is stopping you from doing your work. As I just mentioned before, everyone comes with a good intention, but few things we really have to call it out. And that is where you should raise your hand and go to your leader, manager, lead, whoever it is, and explain them. But always remember, because this is something like you're fighting against someone, not actual fighting, but you have to prove your technical, you have to prove that whatever work you're doing or for what you're standing, it is actually right. So you have to do your self-reflection, self-validation, so that tomorrow, if you both have to show who is doing the right solutioning, you have some validation. So do your homework before you start talking. So this is very common. And I would say more you face this scenario in your career, it makes you more stronger, and it gives you such a good exposure that once you're at certain level, you will not even worry too much about it.
Because you said she got promoted. This is one thing I will ask if you can do is have a chat with your manager and kind of understand where your roles and responsibilities are, because it's not going to be same as your previous role. Because when you become a senior, there's an expectation you are going to be doing a certain amount of different work, right? You're leading someone, you're mentoring someone, or you're fixing certain problems that require you to be senior. That's what I said. That's where I also had the same struggle, right? Because I could not get out of that previous role. And I was so molded to that my transition to senior was very troublesome. I struggled for 2 months because I couldn't understand. And I had to like sit down at the time with Navim, like understand what am I missing in the picture? What was the expectation? It could be communication skills, right? Like you are going to be managing certain kind of flows or talking with different other teams to make sure you're probably you are probably the troubleshooter for the rest of the team to go smooth. So there's a certain expectation, and always try to get a clarity from your boss. What are you paying me for being a senior here? What are my roles and responsibilities from his perspective? I always used to say, people used to laugh when I say, my job anywhere I go is to make my boss look good and happy, make him happy. And a lot of people used to laugh when I say that, but I said, I'm paid by someone and my job is to make him happy. His job is to make his boss happy, and it flows through, because end of the day, it is for the greater good of the organization, but each level has a different priority. It's like the OKRs being divided each level. They have a different,